Alright, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the Hercules DJ Control Instinct controller. I purchased this controller with one use in mind. I'm going to be doing some traveling coming up, and I wanted something highly portable and lightweight. The DDJ Ergo K that I use usually in my professional gigs here in Los Angeles, while it's fully featured and fully functional, it's also very large and cumbersome and bulky to carry through airports. I've done it on a couple of domestic gigs here in the USA, and it's just a real hassle to kind of unpack it and take it through when you're dealing with TSA and boarding and baggage and all that. So I wanted something I could slip quickly into a laptop bag, and did my research and arrived on this unit. And full disclosure, I'm actually not going to be keeping this for a couple of different reasons, but let's get into some of the features and then I'll go into further detail about why I'm going to be looking for an additional controller and probably getting rid of this one, selling it on. So if you look here at the top, you've got two decks, your left and right deck. These jog wheels are actually not too bad. They're pretty responsive. I mean, they're small, so you're not going to get precise control over scratching, but you can pull off your usual beat juggle and beat drop with these jog wheels. On the left, you've got your left channel volume fader, your right volume fader, crossfader, which is pretty decent. I did a couple of test scratches and it's not, I'd say, competition grade like the DDJ Ergo K, but it's passable. Like I said, if you're just looking for something small and portable, this thing is actually pretty decent as a controller. But as I mentioned, there's a couple of features that threw me off. The one is, if you see here on the left and right, you've got three controls for bass, mid, and high, but what's missing is a fourth knob at the top for gain. And also, one thing that I use a lot is filter control. When I'm doing extended mixes or mixing tech house or progressive house, I do a lot of filtering, and you run out of faders here. You run out of buttons and knobs to kind of control the parameters that you're used to controlling if you do a lot of extended mixes, extended effects. And so you're really limited as to what you can do. And what I don't want to happen is to be confined or held back by my controller. Even though I'm looking for something small and portable, I want to still have access to those features and functionalities that I use to do my mixing. Another feature that this is lacking is, if you look at these pitch adjustments, this is actually like a paddle toggle system, and it's not precise at all. When you move to try to adjust the pitch up or down, the movements are too large to be precise. And also, when you're trying to return to zero on the fader, you can't get it exactly at zero. It just moves a little bit negative, a little bit positive, but you cannot get it exactly there without reaching up to your computer and dialing that in using the trackpad, which is just not, for me, something that I would accept out of a controller. I need everything to be precise without taking my hands away. Without that slider, your usual slider for the pitch, you're not able to lock in those precise beat matching adjustments. Another thing that I do like on this is you do have an assortment of buttons here that can be mapped in the software. So there are a plethora of buttons, which is good, and they're really high quality. These buttons are really rugged and can take some pressing. One thing I noticed on this unit, and I've noticed this on some units, the button technology they use, sometimes they're given to failing. And so while these up here do feel rugged, the Q button here in particular, it doesn't click anymore. And it works still, but you don't get the clicking action that you're used to. And so it kind of throws you off a bit. And that just goes into the cheaper construction of a lower range unit like this. See, this one clicks, you can hear the click there, but there's just no more click. And so sometimes these buttons do break down, but these do feel rugged. I've had controllers where buttons have broken down, but these, at least the ones up here, feel a lot more rugged than I'm used to. It's just the clicking mechanism they used here on these buttons might not be as rugged and durable. Another thing that I do like I said, there's a lot of buttons there. Also, the layout is spaced out and it's usable. You know, there's a lot of kind of distance here to get your fingers in and press. So I give them high marks on that. Another cool thing about this is it's bus powered. So you just plug in that one USB cable to your device and you've got full power, full LED, and the sound card works. This thing has a built-in sound card, which is another big plus. And on the front, you'll see here it's got your 1/8 inch or your 3.5 millimeter input, but there is no 1/4 inch, the larger headphone input. So you're always going to have an adapter or a pair of headphones that has the 3.5 millimeter built in. So that's one drawback. You have to kind of plan ahead. And then on the rear of the unit, let me just flip this so you can see, you've got a RCA output here. So you just got a single RCA out, and then they've got a 3.5 millimeter speaker out. So you could connect this to another pair of headphones or have a stereo line out to another mixer or a set of speakers if you had a, let's say, 1/8 inch jack to stereo splitter. You could go out to a stereo speaker system using this speaker out. So that's kind of cool that they have that. And then, you know, the RCA is your standard output on most controllers, and that's it for the back. There's no other inputs or outputs, and that is another thing. So I'm going to be returning to the Vestax Spin, the first generation, and I'm really excited to get one of those units back in and show you why that is my go-to portable controller. That one does have an input, but let's just stay focused here on the Instinct. So that's all for the rear of the unit. You just got the power there, the RCA out, and then that additional 3.5 millimeter 1/8 inch speaker out. Another feature with the buttons, this group of 4 here, using the mode button here, you could switch between 3 different banks of uses for the buttons. So on mode 1, you've got access to loops, mode 2, effects, and mode 3, samples. Now the thing about that is any of these buttons can be mapped to any feature. So you could have 12 different loop buttons. You know, you could just map each one of these banks to just more and more loops. So the first could be loops 1 through 4. Click the mode, switch to effects, and you map those to 5 through 8 and so on. But one thing I don't like is having to switch between modes. So if I've got loops here and then I've got to switch to effects and I'm in the mix and then I come over to the right deck, and I want to work with my sampler, this thing just switches both left and right between the banks. So you can't have independent switching and just have this one stay on loops and you're over here messing with effects with this track, and then you want to toggle a cue over here. It's just all or nothing. So I really don't like controllers that make it more difficult to do mixing than less. I like the controller to kind of get out of the way when I'm doing mixing. I do really involved mixes using loops and effects and filtering, and so that really throws a monkey wrench in my technique and style, which is another reason why I'm not going to be sticking with this unit. But all in all, I'd say this is a pretty fully capable mixer. It's extremely lightweight. It's the smallest mixer that I've ever owned. And so if you are looking for something extremely portable and lightweight, and you don't have any of the hangups I had with, you know, when it comes to beat matching or the banks, the separate banks here, the mode you've got to click to get through the banks, or the lack of knobs, then this could be a great controller for you. They're really cheap. I found this one on eBay for around 40 bucks. So you can just pick one up, try it, see if it fits in with your gear, maybe do a couple gigs on the road with it, and see if it's right for you. So this is the Hercules DJ Control Instinct. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. And we'll see you next weekend for another video. Peace.